Today, I want to remember my father, Abdul Fatah Memon. My earliest memory of my father is when I was about 4 years old. We were living in house of my grandfather, and I noticed that every few days a very handsome man, a very elegant man will come to our house. And that was my father, Abdul Fatah Memon. He was born in 1920 in the same Haveli in Chicago. He went on to study in Chicago, Bombay, Junagadh, and eventually got bachelor's in economics honors from DJ Science College, which was at that time called DJ Sindh College. In the same year that I was born, that is 1941. Then he went on to get law degree from Shahani Law College in Karachi, which is now called SM Law College. Baba Sai then went on to start law practice in the office of a very well-known and famous attorney of that time, Qazi Fazullah. Was in his right very active politician and went on to serve as Chief Minister of Sindh. After a few years, Baba Sai started his own practice in Larkana. That was a time, as I have stated elsewhere in another video, the decision was made to move the family to Larkana. I was about 10 years old, and this was a time when I got to know my father. The handsome, elegant man was not just a stranger who used to visit us in his holidays, but here he was, a successful attorney and a very popular man in Larkana. Every morning I will see scores of his clients who would be there to consult him. These will be the people whose cases were to be heard that morning. And he will emerge from his bedroom in a very elegant suit, and he will have last-minute consultation with the clients, and he will go to the court. On holidays in the morning, I will see different group of people. Those will be his friends, which included local socialites, local political figures. One of the regular visitors I saw was Sikandar Ali Bhutto, older brother of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. There were many other, Aliguar Khoro, younger brother of Ayub Khoro, and there were many more. I will see him busy with his friends and clients. In the evening, I will again see him. He will be all showered and dressed in informal clothes. And he will be surrounded by somewhat different crowd. He will be with people who had come to engage him for new cases or for those whose cases will be heard next day. His work will be done by 8 or 9 o'clock, and later I will see him surrounded by all kind of different people. This will include people who will tell what was going on in Pakistan and the province of Sindh. They will talk about local stories. They will plan on what had to be done to make life better for common people. Baba Sai at that time was Secretary General of Sindh Muslim League, which was the ruling party of Pakistan. As Secretary General, it meant a lot of prestige and power. The local deputy commissioner, SP police, and other officials were guided by the ruling political party. So I would see a lot of these kinds of people. There will be a lot of active politicians. One of them, who was a very good friend of my father, was Ghulam Nabi Pathan. He was Minister of Education of Sindh at that time. Several times I saw Sir Shah Nawaz Bhutto, father of Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Baba Sai, what was he doing? What were his thoughts? One of the main things which was going on at that time was how to settle incoming refugees in Sindh and in particular in Larkana. As a child, I would go with my father wearing uniform of Muslim League National Guard, sort of miniature uniform that Baba had got it made for me. We will go to railway station with garlands in our hands. And as trains came, and there were only 3-4 trains in a day coming to Larkana, if there were any muhajirs or refugees, we will garland them and we will bring them in a procession to our house. There were big dakes. Dakes were those big containers in which milk will be boiling all the time. This was a powdered milk. Big cans, huge cartons were coming from United States for refugees, and this is how that milk was available for them. Then Baba Sai will interview them, find out about their family and their needs. The keys of the Hindus and others who had migrated from Larkana, keys of their houses and shops, they were with Muslim League office. And Baba Sai will take individual family to the house that had been allocated for them. This is how we helped to settle muhajirs in Larkana. And some of the families which came, one of the families was of Chaudhry Khaliquz-Zaman. Chaudhry Khaliquz-Zaman was president of all India Muslim League before partition. So he was a potential prime minister of Pakistan, but somehow he had decided to settle his family in Larkana. His son, I remember his face, Chaudhry Atiq-uz-Zaman. His wife, Sakina Begum, was a very prominent social worker. So we saw all kinds of people, and the dialogue was always how to settle these people, how to take care of needs of people. The Muslim League of those early days was quite different from the political parties of what we see in Pakistan today. There was idealism, there was a desire to achieve welfare of the people. As time passed, Baba Sai was drawn into politics. He went on to contest Sindh Assembly elections from Wareh Taluka district Ladkana, and he was elected a member in 1953. In that capacity, he was continually traveling to his constituency, Wareh and Karachi, where the assembly sessions were held, and always trying to do whatever can be done to build roads or schools and so on. Education was particular passion of my father. There was no college in Ladkana at that time. Father formed a Ladkana District Education Society. He was the administrative head, while this deputy commissioner of Ladkana, or collector as they were called, was always honorary chairman. First came Arts College, which was organized as an evening college in the empty rooms of Government High School Ladkana. This is where the students attended college after the regular high school session was over. Subsequently, Baba Sai established College of Commerce and Economics. That was organized in a Musafir Khana, which was obtained for that purpose. Subsequently came Ladkana Law College. Baba Sai served as honorary principal of Commerce and Law College, Commerce College and Economics College for a while. Then came fateful election for National Assembly in 1962. Of course, martial law came in 1958. In 1960, I was gone to the United States, and then came the 62 elections. And Baba Sai filed nomination paper from Ladkana constituency, which included Wareh. And guess who was the other candidate? That was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who had been minister for several years in the cabinet under Field Marshal Ayub Khan. There was a lot of pressure for Baba Sai to withdraw. Ayub Khan called Baba and basically said, either you go in or out. In meaning either I put you in jail or you go out as ambassador. And ambassadorship in Turkey was mentioned. And Baba Sai, his response was that he was already elected for a provincial seat from that constituency, whereas Bhutto Sahab was new. He had never even contested elections there, so it was his right to get the seat. Eventually, the pressures and some change of tactics worked. The government decided to approach my grandfather, who was already a Haji, but he was told that his son can be sent as ambassador to Saudi Arabia, and Baba Haji and others will be able to perform several Hajj, and he will be able to do Umrah as often as he wanted. And that pressure led Baba Sai to withdraw. And in 1963, he went on to serve as ambassador of Pakistan in Saudi Arabia. He had very close working relation at that time, the ruling crown prince. At that time, King Saud was the monarch, but he had left the governance to Prime Minister and in fact Crown Prince Faisal. It was short while later that Prince Faisal became King Faisal. in that sense, he helped Pakistan in many ways. One of the stories I remember, as told by my father, was 1965 war. That was the first war that Pakistan really faced. Whole country was united. Saud, rather King Faisal, called my father and said that he is ready to help Pakistan in procuring whatever military equipment was needed. So he asked Baba Singh to talk to Ayub Khan and get list of the equipment. And there, few days later, a delegation of high-powered military generals came. When they went to see Faisal, Faisal asked for the list. The head of the delegation said, "Your Highness, why to bother with a list? Please tell us, please help us with whatever amount of money you are able to help, and leave it to us, and we will get the equipment that they need." Faisal became very angry, and he turned to father and said, "I asked you, Your Excellency, to get the list." Baba Singh excused himself and the delegation went out. And he asked the generals, so I specifically agreed with Ayub Khan to get the list. And now where is the list? Let's give it to Faisal. And one of the generals said, "Memon Sahab, if we give the list, what will happen to our commissions?" So the corruption we see today in Pakistan at all levels and all departments is not new. It was present even in the middle of the most dangerous war of 1965 that we faced. Eventually, we did get the list, and eventually Faisal did get all the equipment. I saw Baba Singh again when I returned from Saudi Arabia, from United States in 1967. By that time, he had completed his tenure in Saudi Arabia, and subsequently he also had consecutive charge of Somalia, and he was back in Pakistan. My father was supposed to go from Saudi Arabia as ambassador to Brazil, and to my understanding, those papers were sent. But this is when Ayub Khan had become angry with Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and had removed him from his cabinet. Bhutto Sahab subsequently came to Saudi Arabia and stayed at our house for several days in Jeddah. That's where Pakistan Embassy was at that time. He was seeking a meeting with King Faisal. Baba Singh arranged that, and Bhutto Sahab told his side of the story to the king. But Ayub Khan did not like that the man whom he had removed should get direct audience with the king. And because of that, my father's accreditation papers to Brazil were withdrawn. Baba Singh came back to start practice. His office was in Cotton Exchange building on McLeod Road in Karachi. This was a new life. Baba Singh had decided to settle in Karachi rather than Larkana, because by that time my brothers, and there were 8 of us, and one sister, they all had they were students either in high school or in college. And the facilities in Karachi were definitely better. This is where my father worked hard in establishing a new practice and to put everyone, all of us, gave us the best possible education. I had gone to United States in 60, and I have, as I have mentioned elsewhere, Baba Sai borrowed 40,000 rupees from Sindh Cooperative Bank so that my studies could be financed. And Baba Sai worked hard to the end so that all other children could be educated. Another interesting story I remember was in summer of 1967 when I came from United States. At that time, Bhutto Sahab was living in Karachi. He was, of course, out of office at that time. One day, I went to see Bhutto Sahab, and here I was, a fresh MBA from United States. I had a job offer from the World Bank, which I had accepted, and I was supposed to join in October. So I had come to get married to my fiancée Razia, and that is why I was in Pakistan. So my friends, two cousins of Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi, myself, so Anwar Jatoi, Shoaib Jatoi, and I went to see Bhutto Sahab. Bhutto Sahab was with one of his close friend, Munir Haisan's family man. Haisan's was a very big industrial family of that time, and Munir was particularly close to Bhutto Sahab. We had a very interesting conversation. Then Bhutto Sahab turned to me and said, "Where is your father?" I said, "Sir, he's here in Karachi." He said, "Well, why doesn't he meet me?" I said, "Well, he feels the same way. Why don't you meet him?" Bhutto Sahab smiled. So it was a question of who should meet who. And Bhutto Sahab said, "Go tell your father that let us get together and form a new party so that we can get rid of this bastard." And the reference was clearly to the General Ayub. I came home and I went and sat next to my father. Now my father had difficulty of hearing. In fact, he even had surgery in New York back in 55 when he was sent as a delegate of Pakistan to United Nations General Assembly. He had a surgery, but it was not successful. Anyway, I sat next to my father and I said that I met Bhutto Sahab this morning and this is what he said. And Baba Sai did not say anything. And we were used to this, that if we said something to Baba Sai that he was not interested, he would not respond. And I just thought that maybe this was one of the things that Baba Sai did not want to do. It was 20 years or so later when I was in Pakistan. By that time, Shahid Bhutto had become Prime Minister and had long ago passed away. And we were talking about Bhutto Sahab, and I said to Baba Sai, "Do you remember the message that Bhutto Sahab gave me for you and I came and told you about it?" And my father said, "No, I don't remember that." And then I tried to remind him more. He said, "No, son, I never heard that." So here was a sort of historical footnote that my father never met Bhutto Sahab after that and never joined People's Party. But he remained very supportive of Bhutto Sahab. When General Zia came into power, one of his ministers came to my father to offer him a cabinet post. And Baba Singh refused. He said he is not going to be party of undemocratic removal of Bhutto Sahab and join military government. So many years later that I came in contact with Shahid Benazir Bhutto, and we sort of resumed our association with People's Party. Baba Singh lived in Karachi until the very end. I miss my father. He was a great man. He served people of Larkana, people of Wara on individual and collective basis. Those colleges have blossomed. Eventually, Baba Singh's Larkana District Education Society had purchased a big piece of land next to the house of Deputy Commissioner Larkana, and that is where, around that area, and that is where a campus for the commerce and other colleges was going to be built. But then in 1971, when Bhutto Sahab became head of Pakistan's government, he nationalized private schools and colleges. And that land was used to build Chandka Medical College, which is now the Chandka Medical Universities. For many years, actually, there was foundation stone of those colleges at the entrance of Chandka. And interestingly enough, foundation stone for Baba Singh's colleges was laid by none other than Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Sahab when he was foreign minister. So Chandka has grown. Baba Singh was also a writer. He maintained his diaries. I have literally scores of his diaries. He wrote several books. Two of them got published. One of them is Oil and Faith. Oil and Faith. It is mostly about his stay in Saudi Arabia. But Baba Singh felt that Saudis had oil, and of course they had faith of Islam. And he felt that the resources of Saudi Arabia and other Muslims should be used wisely to help solve worldwide issues that Muslims felt. And he felt that oil should be part of the politics and part of the compromise that will hopefully help to solve Palestine problem and other issues faced by Muslims in the world at that time. Baba Singh has passed away for a long time, but I remember my father. My father was a wonderful man. May Allah bless his soul. Thank you.